Now you might ask, where do these roses that I very much need to profess my love come from? Right?
Yeah, yeah,
That's a very genuine question. Because how else would you do it otherwise?
mm,
Right? Because you can't. Books have told us so, philosophers have told us so, and Shakespeare has told us so. But I assure you, in fact, I do have an answer for all of this. The short answer to your question is almost certainly not from anywhere near you, right? And when I say you, I'm talking to our listeners and viewers specifically in Europe and North America, right?
mm,
Why, you might ask? Because in the US alone, over $2 billion are spent on flowers for Valentine's Day annually. $2 billion. That's the GDP of five fucking small countries. $2 billion. I lost my shit when I read this amount.
Yeah, that's massive. Yeah.
That's transportation, storage, and over production.
No, this is consumer spend on Valentine's Day. $2 billion.
Yeah.
People like
Yeah.
you and me are spending over $2 billion on Valentine's Day.
Not even
Yeah. I
flowers,
mean,
just like
it includes, of course, it includes all costs. It includes transport. It includes cost of production, of course. It's the
Yes,
final price. It includes profit.
yes, yes, yes.
We are talking about like millions of people spending cumulative $2 billion.
Yes, of
yeah,
course.
In that
But
context, it's fine.
Ashmita, millions of people. Okay, this was very specific. This is just US alone, by the way. This is not world over. US alone, even despite the population of US being however many millions, you might concede the fact that not everyone can afford to spend money on Valentine's Day, right?
Yeah.
So roughly half the population straight away goes away, right? Because you
mm,
genuinely don't have enough money to afford healthcare, for example, and also spend on Valentine's Day, right?
Yeah.
That was a low blow, but it deserves to be a low blow. Make of that what you
Sandy,
will.
Sandy got, for the listeners, Sandy got so agitated by that number. We are sorry for the massive increase in volume, but also Sandy is like fully sweating at this point of time. Like, what
I'm
the
not.
fuck? Oh,
I'm not.
you just wiped your,
No, no. I was
your
the my hair had was falling onto my face, so I was just.
okay. So sorry, he's not sweating. He's just agitated in general
Yeah.
about the $2
I
billion
mean,
spent.
are you not? I'm amazed
yeah.
that you are not.
No, it
It
is.
is.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
It is definitely a lot.
Yeah, I mean, to no one's surprise, this is the single highest amount spent by any one single country, and that is
yeah,
by a considerable margin, right? By a considerable margin, right? Also, just very briefly, Valentine's Day is a very special day for an altogether different reason here in India because there's a good chance you might end up getting married if you're caught with your romantic interest
Yeah.
somewhere outside, So yeah, it's a very special day for it might end up being your marriage day as well. So be careful. Yeah.
For the Because I know for a fact that there are listeners in other countries, I'm just going to give some context to
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
You all should really look up, for those who don't know, you all should look up what the right wing in general, like all the different parties, have been doing for Valentine's Day. There was this rage that happened about a
yeah,
decade back, decade and a half back, and that continued, where the conservatives, when they saw a couple on Valentine's Day out and about minding their own business, they would take them to religious places, which was always and always a temple, and get them married off like forcefully. The really funny part is that marriage is not valid because temple marriages are not
yeah,
recognized in the country as a valid marriage. But sure, you get like a weird forced ceremony out of this. It's
Yeah.
insane
yeah,
behavior. Also, they first beat you, which is a weird thing to do, right? Like they first beat you and then they make you marry each other. Like it's Sandy, to your context, it is very fitting for the history of Valentine's Day, I feel, with the
Yeah.
violence that you were alluding to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So who
And also
knew the right wing was so cultural?
you're not even getting a decent wedding picture out of it because you're beaten black
No.
and blue.
Yeah,
So
and you're not wearing wedding clothes. It's a That is the problem with all of this. That the
Yeah.
fact that you're not getting a decent picture. That's the real issue.
So why I mentioned that was because a lot of the stuff that we're talking about or covering in this episode are relatively specific to the global north because that is where Valentine's Day is a huge deal. And despite my jokes, Valentine's Day is not really celebrated as a context in India specifically
Mm-hmm.
for a variety of reasons. One of them being because it's not an Indian thing in the first place. It's not a an event that Indians are usually into all that
Mm.
much. And
Talking like a
secondly,
right wing. Of
no, that's a fact. Am I wrong in saying that?
course, the right wing is also they also talk with facts, their own facts.
I mean, you need to brush up on your definitions then, Prakhar. I think you're
Oh,
misguided there. But
I fully support the right wing when you say all of this.
yeah. So
But
so
yeah,
yeah,
in India, it's
basically,
not really.
yeah.
Yeah.
All of that is to say that roses are not a very good idea around here, especially on Valentine's Day.
Maybe you should do
Because
gende ke
for
phool,
the
no?
for okay, so Genda means marigold for those of you who
Ah,
don't
Yeah.
understand.
fair,
Yeah.
fair.
So okay. To no one's surprise, most Valentine's Day roses are sold in Europe and North America, and they are grown in countries like Kenya, Ecuador, and Colombia. So
Hmm.
you start noticing a
Mm-hmm.
pattern over here, right? This isn't just a coincidence, it's a calculated decision, despite what anyone might end up telling you, right? As much as 70% of the cut roses sold in Europe are grown in Kenya, and Colombia supplies as much as 60% of the cut flowers sold in the United States, right?
Mm.
So a,
Hmm.
a huge chunk, the majority of these flowers being sold in Europe and North America come from countries such as Kenya and Colombia. These regions offer a perfect cocktail of high altitudes, consistent daylight, favorable climates, and critically, low labor costs,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
This allows roses to be produced year round and, more importantly, harvested precisely to meet the non negotiable February demand elsewhere. Basically, these countries are not growing these flowers and especially roses for their own internal consumption. They are exclusively grown to be exported to the global north
Yeah.
in general, right? Just to give you some context, Kenya exports over 200,000 tons of flowers per year, with Valentine's week being the single biggest spike, right? 200,000 tons is not a very small amount in
Yeah. Yeah.
anyone's
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Any again, just for keeping score, capitalism 3, love 0. Okay. So when you're buying a fresh rose, you are purchasing the result of a geographically fragmented system designed to minimize cost while maximizing speed,
Mm-hmm.
right? The flower is delicate, yes, but the industrial system behind it is anything but. The cold, dry truth is that your expression of love has been outsourced to a global commodity market and it has conspired with the universe at large to get you laid. So, the very first thing you should know about cut flowers is that they typically have a post harvest shelf life of about 7 to 10 days. And 10 days, it's
Mm-hmm.
stretching it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The best case scenario is 10 days.
Hmm.
And once those roses are cut, the 72 hours of chaos begins. The clock starts pretty much immediately as soon as the flower is cut. So, in the first couple of hours, the flowers are rushed into cooling units to slow the decay process. They are bundled and packed, right? And then over the course of the next 8 to 10 hours, they are transported to major international airports, loaded onto cargo planes. These planes are essentially flying greenhouses, refrigerated the entire time, right? Over the next 24 to 48 hours, they fly across continents, clear through customs, which turns airports into massive floral bottlenecks and are redistributed to wholesalers. And during the final hours, they move from wholesalers to florists, still under strict temperature control, and
Hmm.
finally to the last mile delivery truck. Right? That was the entire supply chain in brief, in a nutshell.
Yeah.
This entire process happens in a matter of days. Any delay, such as maybe a customs backlog, a missed flight, a refrigeration unit failure,
Hmm.
doesn't result in just a slight inconvenience. Flowers don't get slightly delayed, they die,
Hmm.
Yeah.
right? So much so that a delay of 24 to 48 hours can make an entire shipment commercially unsellable. And I don't know the exact like weightage of one single shipment, but you can imagine it will be
Hmm.
considerably huge. You imagine just one of those big shipping containers that you come across, right?
When I was at business school, we had a
Hmm.
class in operations about this. And it
Hmm.
just reminded me how you are talking about it as what a shitty situation. Like
Hmm.
so much of wastage, and you said carbon emission and all of that. And our entire class, like we spent an entire 1 hour, 10 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever the length of the class was, I forgot, discussing how to make it more efficient. That was a
Hmm.
whole class. Like we did not even mention, and neither did it register in any of our minds that maybe we should not make this any more efficient. Like efficiency is what has gotten us supremely fucked with
Yeah.
this. Maybe just take a step back from this and re-evaluate life choices for a
Hmm.
second.
I mean, especially in this context, I can't make a sweeping generalization about it, but in this case specifically, efficiency, like we mentioned, almost always means speed. You're basically
Yeah.
speeding up
Hmm.
the transportation, the logistical process. And when you're speeding up the logistical process from, say, 3 to 4 days to maybe even lesser, that means almost always a lot of people are getting fucked over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like without any exceptions. So, do we really need to make it more efficient? I don't think so.
Exactly.
So, why I very briefly mentioned all of the logistics involved in the entire transportation of these roses is because this is hands down one of the most tightly choreographed, high pressure logistics operations in the consumer economy as we know it. And it's all for something that is almost certainly going to be thrown away within a week. Like, no
Yeah.
one keeps a rose forever. Literally,
Yep.
no one does, right? So, what is the carbon cost of saying this special form of I love you? Because again, people seem to not be able to profess their love for anyone without giving a rose. So, what is the carbon cost, you might wonder?
Hmm.
The speed we just talked about comes with a predictable but often unseen environmental price tag. Again, no surprises there, right? Flowers are flown because ships are simply too slow. Makes sense. The single fact explains most of the environmental cost.
Hmm.
Air freight, to nobody's surprise, has one of the highest carbon footprints per kilogram of any transport method, right? Valentine's Day flowers rely almost entirely on it because, like I mentioned, we have a 3 to 4 day window and
Yeah.
you just can't make ships work within that time frame, right?
Yeah.
The International Council on Clean Transportation, ICCT here on, estimates that air freighted roses can generate up to 3 kilograms of carbon dioxide per every dozen flowers. 3
Oh,
Oh
kilograms of
my
carbon
God.
dioxide per dozen roses. So
damn.
Jesus.
just keep that figure in mind, okay?
And this is only the freight. Like, forget
Only
about
the freight,
everything else.
only the transportation for about a dozen roses that you are planning to give to your girlfriend, boyfriend, better half, whoever. Your 3
Damn.
kilograms of carbon dioxide is being dispersed into the atmosphere, right? Again, per ICCT, air freight emits up to 20 times more carbon dioxide per ton kilometer than sea freight. Fair
Hmm.
enough, right?
Mhm.
Now, add the continuous non-stop refrigeration at every single stage of that 72-hour journey, and the emissions multiply exponentially. All of the
Yeah.
carbon emissions was just transportation. We did not take the refrigeration
Yeah.
Yeah.
into our calculations up until about now, right? So flowers must be consistently kept between 2 and 4 degrees Celsius from harvest to retail for them to
Hmm.
be for them to sustain the entire logistical journey, right? So we're talking about chilling the flowers on the farm, chilling them on the truck to the airport, chilling them to the cargo plane, chilling them in the customs warehouse. chilling them on the wholesaler's truck, and then chilling them in the florist shop.
Mm.
Refrigeration throughout the cold chain can account for up to 30 to 40% of total flower related emissions. So, a huge chunk of the carbon emissions are also coming from the refrigeration cycle,
Refrigeration.
right? Multiple studies have pointed out that the carbon footprint of these imported, air freighted, continuously chilled cut flowers can be several times higher than locally grown alternatives. Again, not a surprise to anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense, right? Like if you're getting flowers from within the city, the carbon emissions will be multifold
Yeah.
lower than if you're importing the said flowers from some other country. Basic science and maths, right?